I'm super excited to have you on because you bring a very unique perspective to this show. All the people I've interviewed so far, have been doing this for multiple years. They've quote unquote made it. They're doing very, very well. I wanted to bring you on because you've just started out, and I think that offers a very unique perspective to this whole world of entrepreneurship. So, for those who don't know you, who are you, and what have you been building so far?
So I'm Kharshan. I've been doing endurance sports for probably 2 to 3 years. Yeah, and I'm posting on like social media, doing content creation and all that kind of stuff. And now that I think that I'm ready enough, I decided to start and running a apparel brand. So yeah, this is basically the start. Quite a lot of things that's going on. So yeah, just basically working on my personal brand and also this apparel brand. Yeah.
Awesome. And you're in your early 20s, right?
I'm 24.
24 now.
Yeah.
Nice. So how did did you ever think you were gonna eventually do this? Was this like a dream of yours since you were growing up, or like talk me through like your background and how you eventually stumbled upon entrepreneurship?
Okay. I think when I went for my first internship in poly, uh, that was when I got a taste of like the 9 to 5 life. And that was when I realized like, I really can't do that. Like it was very mentally suffocating, the whole 9 to 5 life. So yeah, I thought that there was a lot more opportunities out there. And when I was in army, I was like trying to find out what I could do because I had a lot of free time in army. So when I went to army, I was constantly trying things that I could do and everything. Sorry.
All good.
Then I picked up trading for a while. So when I was trading, I realized that money could be made without a 9 to 5. And that really opened my mind to a lot more other things. And yeah, during army was when I also picked up the endurance sports and everything. So when the endurance sports picked up, I decided to just post about it on social media. And I realized that a lot of people were getting influenced and inspired. So I realized that there was a lot of value there. And then I also realized that there was a lot of value in creating your own brand, your personal brand, and just putting yourself out there. So that started with just content creation of like endurance sports and everything. And then I realized that, there was a lot of opportunity there to, actually maybe monetize and like grow and not just stick to normal corporate jobs and stuff. So yeah, that was a path that I felt like I could go into. And another big inspiring factor was Nick Bear. Yeah, because Nick Bear was kind of doing something similar, I guess, because he was doing all these endurance sports, documenting his life and everything, and while growing his brand. So yeah, that was a huge inspiration as to like where I wanted my life to be heading towards. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And what was that first 9 to 5 job for you? What was
Oh,
the job
it
role?
was an internship. So I was just basically like a assistant engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
And
what you studied in
yeah, I was studying
poly?
engineering.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. So it wasn't that bad. Like I can't say like it was shit and everything, but it was just that it was very suffocating in a sense. Like there were the room to play around with, like as to what's right and what's wrong was just that. Like it was so yeah, it was right or wrong, black or white for everything. And yeah, I didn't really have that kind of freedom to go and do whatever I want to do and everything. And yeah, understanding that whatever work that I put in, like if I put in more effort, I'm not gonna get it back in terms of value. I'm not gonna get a pay raise just because I put in more effort. They will just say, my boss will just probably say thanks and good job, then move on. But when you have a like a business or like you're doing trading or something like that, like whatever value, whatever effort that you put in, you're gonna get it back. Yeah. So it's very easy to not say easy to validate, but like I feel like you know what you're doing better instead of like in a corporate job, then you're gonna be like you're putting in all the effort, but you're not really getting everything back in return. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And you only realized this in your like early 20s, really,
this
right?
was yeah
This is army.
19. I
19 years old.
realized that 9 to 5 isn't it for me. Like it just doesn't fit my whole personality and everything.
Mm.
Yeah. So 20s, when I was 20, yeah, that was when I started exploring and like trying to find out what I really want to do. So yeah, when I was exploring everything, going to endurance sports, realized yeah, content creation was kind of fun. It was inspiring other people. There was value that I was putting out there. And then yeah, that kind of paved the way to where I am now, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you ever talk to your friends about it? Were you like vocal about actually, I want to, change path? Because I think it can be scary for a lot of people to, tell their friends, tell
Yeah.
their family that, oh yeah, I'm not going to take this conventional route. Especially here in Singapore, I think it's actually what I find very um people don't really understand it too well. Like, I think there is a very um, ingrained structure of thinking as a
Yeah.
Singaporean. You go to poly, maybe, you do NS, maybe you go to university, and then, you work, find your first job, find a partner, BTO,
Yeah.
live HDB, start saving CPF. And it's like it's almost like, I think when we grow up with school and everything is laid out for you, planned
Mm.
for you. As soon as you finish school, you can really do anything. And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of people default on this path of like, okay, I want to stick with something that's less uncertain, something with more of a plan and structure. And yeah, it takes guts as well. It's not for everybody to do entrepreneurship for sure. Some people need that structure and whatnot, but that's why I think it's super interesting to talk to people who've taken, the less common path. And it's inspiring to see that you actually bit the bullet and you're doing it. You're still young, so there's time to try things. But I want to talk about, I think with your journey so far, what's really valuable is how you've gone from ideation to actually launching a brand from scratch. And I think I can interview people who have already made it. I've spent a few years doing it, but I think for people who are watching this, listening to this, who are thinking about starting out, there's huge value in understanding, or like starting from literal scratch,
Mm.
not knowing where to go, what to do, how to do it. And even though people have done what you've done before, it's still quite a uncharted territory for yourself, right? So
Yeah.
take me back to how you thought of the idea.
Wow. How thought of the idea? Okay. It was the idea of starting a clothing brand it was when I was like 19, when I was with my friends. Just wanted to do it for fun. And that was where the Reverie name came about. My friend suggested the idea. Then we worked on it for like a month and then it died out. But yeah, it was a very a very kind of childish thing in a sense. Yeah, it was just for fun kind of thing. Then yeah, it just died out. And then after I started my personal brand, growing it on like TikTok and social media and all that kind of stuff, then I realized that okay, actually I wouldn't mind reigniting that spark that I had to go and start that apparel brand. And then I asked my friend if I could just take the name. So yeah, he was like, all right, sure. And I'm still close to him till today. Like I met him yesterday actually. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, he gave me he was like, okay, sure, you just go take a name, just do what you want with it. Then last year, I launched the caps, the Reverie caps. That was when things tried to like start off and everything. So yeah, it wasn't that great. I didn't the my approach towards it was kind of bad. Like I feel like my direction wasn't really there. Like there were a lot of things that I had to set out before I actually launched, but I didn't really live up to it in a sense. And yeah, I just tried to sell caps. That's basically what it felt like. Like there was no creative direction in the brand. There was no uh like soul towards it, you know. So after that drop, I think I closed the website like 2 days afterwards. Yeah, I just closed the website and then I just like, okay, I need to work a lot on what I want the brand to be and everything like that before I actually launch it out again. So I took quite a bit of a break. Yeah, it was like I think probably like 4 5 months before I started work on it again. Yeah, and yeah, because I really just needed to actually understand what it means to be like a creative director, a founder, or and like yeah, really soak in the whole concept of starting a brand and everything, you know. I think it would have been better if I did it and learned along the way. But okay, at the same time, I don't think I regret my approach towards it. Because that's when I started reading all the books and everything on like the Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Yeah, that was a pretty good book. Yeah, and basically started looking up interviews about founders and creative directors and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of set the tone of like, okay, the that set the tone of the mindset that I needed to start the brand. So yeah. And up until now, I don't really see myself as like an entrepreneur in a sense. It's just very weird to call myself an entrepreneur. It's like I'm building a brand, yeah, but like an entrepreneur just doesn't seem right to me yet, at least. Yeah. Because right now it still feels like a art project that I'm like going heavy in on, But like entrepreneur just doesn't seem right. At least not yet. Then yeah. So yeah. After taking like that bit of a break to go and like properly understand what it means to be a creative director and a founder and everything, I decided to launch out like the t-shirts and stuff. So that was when everything kind of properly started. And I started contacting manufacturers, trying to understand how I want to approach the brand, what values I want the brand to have and everything like that. Yeah. And it was kind of a long process, I'd say, because uh yeah, because it was my first time doing all of this, and I didn't really have much connections or like knowledge in the sense of like starting the brand and everything. I just knew that I wanted to do it. So that was kind of like just a take off. And because I didn't really have much resources, I had to uh just do everything as I had to like Google basically everything. Google and ChatGPT basically everything. So just did everything from scratch. And yeah, it's been months of like kind of planning and shit. Then in the only 1 week ago I launched the brand. So yeah, the 1 week itself has been so crazy. Like I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been like putting out orders and stuff and working on the brand for like the next collection and everything. It's just so it's a lot to register, Yeah. To yeah. And it's only been the first week. So it's just gonna get even more crazier. It's insane to me. Yeah.
Yeah. When you decide, like, was there a day that did you have any like trepidation, or like were you on, did you have to make a decision whether to do it or not, or was it kind of like a no-brainer decision, like, oh, I'm just gonna go do this and try? Because I think like once you finish university, the first thing you do is go look for a job, right?
Yeah.
So what was there a point where you were like on the fence about starting this, or you really just decided to jump in?
I always knew that I wanna build a brand. Like the idea of building a brand was like a very uh it was something that it was the person that like if I were to envision myself like 5 years from now, I wanna be that guy. It's like has a proper brand to his name, and like there are people with like a lot of like-minded people in the same community, that kind of thing. And yeah, I just want to be that guy, and I know that I want to work towards it very badly. And that was all I kind of knew. Like I just knew that I wanted to get there, So uh yeah, there was a lot of means and there were a lot of ways to go about it, but I just knew that I wanted to get there. That's yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so it sounds like you didn't really have to make like a decision. It kind of was just
No, I think it was kind of
your
like
vision.
the idea of the brand happening. It wasn't really a decision. It was just kind of ingrained in me that, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I wouldn't my friend asked me, what's gonna happen if you fail? Then I'm just told him that there's no plan B or anything. If plan A fails, then I will find a way to fix it, then go back to plan A again. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's interesting. So you never like even had a plan to look for jobs?
Oh, actually, there's this part is quite interesting. Next year, once now I'm like getting the ball rolling for every and everything, but I do plan to look for like a job next year still, because I think this is quite a reverse of what most entrepreneurs do. Yeah, but the way I'm approaching it, I don't know, might be wrong, might be right, but I think I'm still gonna do it anyway. Yeah. So once I try and get the ball rolling for Reverie and everything, I'm gonna try and get a job my diploma. So when I'm with the diploma that I have, can just do like shift work as a technician and stuff, just to get a bit of income while I'm still reinvesting into Reverie. Yeah.
That's a good idea, because I think like at the end of the day, if you don't have, especially for a direct to consumer business like what you're doing,
Yeah.
like you need cash, right? Like you need
Definitely.
to buy inventory.
Yeah.
You need to market the product and
I'm
stuff.
not gonna do like the pre-order kind of thing. I want to have inventory, then put it out there. you know? Yeah.
Exactly. So how did you, like, what if you could sum up like what is the brand?
Mm.
Like how do you think, because there's lots of clothing brands, right?
Yeah.
Around the world and whatnot, even in Singapore. How do you plan on like differentiating? Like what do you think, why would someone buy your brand over another clothing?
So I was thinking about this quite a lot also, because in the end, athletic wear is just athletic wear. Like the quality and everything will differ a bit here and there. And even if the quality differs, it's more about personal choice. Like a Lululemon t-shirt not be might be ideal for one person, but might not be ideal for another person. But they have the same quality. So it really activewear in general, like without the brand and without the story, is really just activewear. But I think what's going to be standing out more for my brand is the branding and the storyline. Like I mentioned it in the Reverie, like the welcome message. I want to build Reverie and I want to create like a beautiful story towards it, like along with the whole journey. So yeah, I think the values that I have with the brand is gonna be something that will be pretty bold, whereas I continue working on it. Yeah, and the mission statement is dream big and live bold. So that's kind of like the values that I have in my life as well. So I want to embody that into the brand. So yeah, I think that every athletic like brand is pretty similar in the sense of products and stuff. But in terms of values, yeah, I feel like mine is just about dream big, live bold. And I really want to embody that message throughout the brand as much as possible.
Yeah. And what's your, like, when someone's thinking about, branding, messaging, like how did you have a certain framework for that, or like you just went with how you felt? Like were you trying to just, because I think a lot of founders, what they do is they just make something for themselves, like what would they like, pretending that they're the target consumer. So like how did you have a framework about deciding your brand positioning? Or did you really just be like, what would I be inspired to see, and kind of go from there?
Yeah, it's kind of what would I be inspired to see then.
Right. No worries.
So yeah, I think it was uh actually that decision on how I wanted the brand to be approached and everything was also from the book from Rick Rubin with the Creative Act. Uh, he said that you should put your consumers last, which was an interesting approach, because that's not what most entrepreneurs do. But in the creative sense, I think it really makes sense, because you have to make sure that your perspective and your taste is very loud, because in a world where everything is so saturated, right? The only thing unique to you is your own perspective. So with that, I think it's very, very important to be very bold and very loud about their perspective. So in that sense, if I were to cater to every consumer that buys into the brand or just part of the whole community, it would dilute the whole image of the brand, because it's just catering to everybody. Like there's this quote, it goes by, uh, if you try to please everyone, you please no one. Or if you try to make everybody like you, nobody will like you back. Something like that. Yeah. So yeah, that was quite a strong value that I had when I started the brand. And I think I'm going to be carrying that on throughout the whole brand growing journey as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did you get started with manufacturing, getting samples? Obviously, you have to design sort of like what you want, have a mood board and all of that. But
Yeah.
like, how did you go from, deciding the brand and whatnot to contacting manufacturers, to getting samples?
It was really just trying to uh so from designing the stuff, it was kind of just based off of what inspired me from whatever I liked and stuff. Like for example, this T-shirt was the back print was how I was looking at a lot of like retro cartoons and stuff, and like the boxing uh there's like the boxing clubs, they have like this a certain style of print that I like. So yeah, it was really just based off what influenced me and what stuff that I like, and I just wanted to put it out there, you know. And yeah, the in terms of design, yeah, it was really just influences that I had in my past like 5 6 years of like just looking at things that I liked and all, and kind of replicating it in a sense. I won't say copy, but I would say it's more of like inspired. Yeah. Think like as a creative, copying and stealing art is kind of important in a sense, because not say important, I think it's inevitable. Yeah, that's how I view art. I don't think there's any possible way to have like a completely original piece of work. It's always gonna have some kind of inspiration, some kind of influence from other people and stuff. So yeah, a lot of the work that I'm putting out is inspired by things that I liked and seen in the past few years and stuff when I was while developing my taste towards uh just art and design in general. Then yeah, in terms of the manufacturing process, yeah, that was where it felt more entrepreneurial instead of like just building the brand. That was where I was like looking at Alibaba, I was googling factories and everything. Yeah, right now also, I mean, it's still ongoing process. I'm still looking for more factories, more manufacturers, so that I can get really proper materials and products to really put out there well. Yeah.
Yeah, and was there like a YouTube video or course that kind of helped you go about the manufacturing process? Like, because I think that that's for something like a clothing brand. I feel like that
Mm.
would be very, very important to have something that firstly matches what you require,
Yeah.
is able to, you know, continue growing with your company, and then also with the samples and everything, make
Mm.
sure that it's up to standard and the quality is consistent. Or was
Uh,
that something you just winged as well?
I feel like I winged it. No, because it wasn't uh in terms of the manufacturing, I think it wasn't really yeah, I really just Googled everything that I could find. I didn't really get into any course or anything. Yeah, I didn't really align with what I wanted to do. Like I feel like if I had to pay money for a course, I'm pretty sure I would get the information that I wanted for free elsewhere and everything. So I didn't really want to get into a course or anything. But I learned a lot from YouTube and everything, from other founders as well. And Cole Buxton, you know about them?
Mhm.
Yeah, one of the Uvu guys. Yeah.
Mhm.
The way he runs Cole Buxton was very inspiring as well. In terms of like there was one video that they put out where they had like a full on documentary on how they were preparing for the Black Friday sale and everything. And then I was so inspired by how they were so meticulous about all the products that they were putting out. They were measuring everything, and then there were problems with the manufacturers and all that kind of stuff. And they documented it really, very well. So that was very inspiring in terms of like how I would want to run Reverie. So, yeah.
Yeah. And how I guess like I mean throughout your journey so far, I think you've talked a lot about inspiration and like obviously reading books and stuff. And I think that's a very important part of being an entrepreneur, especially because there's no one rule book or guide to tell you what to do. It's kind of like you really just have to wing it and also just find inspiration where you find it, like when it comes to you. And yeah, I think that that's a super important process. What do you wish you had done anything differently with the whole manufacturing thing? Was there any advice you would give someone who's like, right now they have an idea, they have the branding, they have an idea of what they want, but they're about to go to manufacturers. Was there anything you've learned from that process that you could give advice to someone?
I think in terms of advice, uh, honestly, I wouldn't give any advice, because not because from a point of like incompetence or anything. It's more of like one thing that I learned from 1 week of entrepreneurship that I had since launching the brand was that uh, you really just have to be as resourceful as possible. Like you need to, if you have a question mark, you have doubt, the number one skill that you need to have is to just make sure you find a way to get the answer. So if would someone to ask me like, what, how would you go about handling with manufacturers and stuff and everything? I think giving any kind of answer and any advice would do nothing for them, because the way I learned was talking to manufacturers, discussing and negotiating like the orders and everything. And only from then I realized like, oh, okay, there's a proper way to talk to them. There's a way how you can negotiate and everything. But if someone were to tell me how I should go about it from the start, I feel like that would ruin the whole experience and I wouldn't learn anything much properly. So if you were to ask me if I were to give any advice to people who are trying to find manufacturers for their clothing brand and everything, really honestly, I don't think it does them any service if I were to actually give them proper advice on like maybe like a playbook on like how to go about it, you know. Yeah.
But would there be anything you would do differently?
Or would do differently? No, because everything that I did had an important lesson for me to carry on to the next stage, just to the next day actually, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I really wouldn't do anything different.
Yeah. And how did you eventually find your manufacturer? Did you actually go down to the factory, or was it like, you
It
know,
was this my first manufacturer was kind of bad. The second manufacturer was the one that was quite alright. But yeah, one thing that uh really helped the whole manufacturing process was the whole communication. Like understanding, like having clear communication with the manufacturer was a very, very big part. Like the first manufacturer I had, the communication wasn't that good. And I saw a few red flags with the way we communicated, but I ignored it and just tried to go get a sample anyway. Then that was when I realized, like, you know, the red flags really just surfaced up. And the second time when I found the other manufacturer, yeah, that communication was a lot more smooth and it was evident in the product that I got and stuff. So yeah, that was pretty dope. And yeah, the manufacturer, I didn't really go down there. Because it was from China, so I didn't have the means to go down there and talk to them and everything. I felt like it was a bit more financially sound to get the samples and get them shipped down and for me to test them out in Singapore instead. But now that I'm going to performance apparel, I feel like I need to really go down there to the factory, meet them, talk to them, test the apparel and everything. Because performance apparel, there's a lot more research and development to go about it. And I really want it to be a lot more better than everything that I've used to wear or have seen in the market. So yeah, in the near future, actually, I think probably at the end of the month, I'll be flying down to a manufacturer to go and talk to them and get things sorted out.
yeah. And how much were the samples? Like, how much did it cost to like buy all those samples
Uh, each probably like 100 after you convert from
per piece?
because I
Yeah.
ordered from China, I ordered from Taiwan. I've been to these two countries, and after converting, it's probably around 100 each. Yeah, more or less, a little bit over, a little bit less. Yeah,
Wow. And how many samples did you end up getting?
a lot. What was like for the fact that I've only done one launch, two launches, I guess. I think I've got like around 6, 7 samples total. Yeah, it's all like at home. And I can't sell them or anything because I know it's shit.
Yeah. Just keep them, frame them, keep them for
I guess
memories.
for memories. But it's a very expensive piece of clothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you could like with the samples? Was there like what was the worst thing that you saw with them?
Worst. Okay, it wasn't really that bad, but it's just not a quality where I would want to sell. Some of the teas were like uh one of them was quite bad because the I just sent once I received one of the samples and it was just like a cotton tee and I just washed it like once and the prints were already cracking. So that was like a clear no-go. Like I wouldn't like even if they were to say like, oh, we can do better job with the prints and everything, I was just like, okay, no, I'm not gonna contact this manufacturer anymore, Yeah. Then yeah, but most of the manufacturers, even though they are from China and like they have that stigma and everything, I think it's still quite okay. Like they, if you find a good one, they really can put out quality effort, quality products and stuff. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, I think that's the key with it is like getting the samples, but not just looking at it. Oh, it looks nice, it feels good, whatever. But like washing,
properly testing it, everything.
taking it out, using it how it would be used.
Yeah,
And was there like a time frame how long you would test the samples for, or like it
yeah.
was just one few days?
Depends on the item. Like for example, the cotton tee, I tested it for like 2 weeks. Yeah, but then again, also it's a cotton tee. I think the quality, the focus that I had was how well it holds up after a few washes and stuff. So yeah, it was like I think I brought it through like 6 washes. And yeah, after 6 washes, the structural integrity of the whole tee was like really quite good. So yeah, I think it was quite okay.
Okay.
And the prints and all were okay. So yeah, in terms of quality, I think that 2 week period for cotton tee was but for the performance barrel, yeah, that's kind of new territory for me. I think I'm gonna be testing them out a lot longer, a lot yeah, and a lot more meticulous about it,
Yeah. And so now you have a product that you like, you've got the designs, everything.
Mm.
How do you pick how much you're going to order and, the sizes as well? Like,
Yeah.
where's that strategy behind that? Where did that
So
come from?
Uh, how much I'm gonna order? Kind of winged it. Didn't really know like what how my audience is gonna react to what I'm gonna be putting out and everything. So yeah, really just put it out there. In terms of the sizes that I ordered, yeah, there was I had that as a mistake for the first launch. Yeah, the sizes that the XL, 2XL and the XS, yeah, they sold out quite fast, faster than the others. So yeah, I should have like, appropriated it a lot better. But yeah, in terms of the quantity and like the sizes and everything, the first drop was really just a experiment. Yeah. So now that I know more about like where everybody wanna get their sizes and like the quantity and everything, I can make a lot more of a sound decision when it comes to the next drop. Yeah.
Yeah. And how much roughly did it cost to, yeah, do your first order and everything?
Oh, is it okay if I don't share the cost of
The
the
exact amount, yeah, you can just give a
yeah.
range because I think it's important for like perspective wise, like if someone's thinking about starting a clothing brand, like
Okay.
roughly how much would it cost
I think to start a clothing brand, uh, around 3K would be a comfortable amount
for the
to
first
play with.
launch?
Yeah, first launch. Yeah, I think 3K would be quite a good comfortable amount.
And that's including like your R&D,
Yeah,
everything from like the designs and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
you did it by yourself, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
The design, I spent a bit. I had the idea of the design and everything, but I didn't have the skill set to go and properly
Mm.
get to the level that I actually wanted. So I had to go and outsource. So
Okay.
yeah, uh, yeah. In terms of like starting a clothing brand, I think just the start 3K is a good comfortable amount for you to
Mm.
play with. But I know people who probably started it even less than that, and they still managed to scale very big. So yeah, 3K is a very comfortable amount. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you have the clothes and everything. I think that that's one portion of it, like
Mm.
having a good product. But the next part is like the marketing and like you can have a really good product, but if you have terrible marketing,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to sell anything, right? So how did you like? Did you have a strategy behind how you were going to market the product? The how you're going to tell people about the brand? Take me through your thought process.
So the idea of how I wanted the brand to take off or like start in the first place was very inspired by Marcus Million, Minter, New York. Have you heard of
Mhm.
them? Yeah. So what he does basically, he just documents the whole journey of that running a brand and yeah, he just documents the whole journey of how he runs a brand, the struggles, the samples that he gets, and yeah, it's very interesting to watch because you're getting a very behind the scenes look on how the brand is run. So yeah, that was kind of my approach in terms of like how I want to market it. I want to be transparent and I want people to be very involved with what the brand is. So yeah, that was the approach on how I want to take on my personal brand towards Reverie, Then on Reverie as a side, that is like a whole other project by itself. Because right now I'm focusing on my personal branding and then carrying it over to Reverie. But as I scale and I want Reverie to grow, I want Reverie to grow independently of me also, from me. So once but for now I'm still growing my personal brand and like kind of attaching it to Reverie. But as time goes on, then I'm gonna get Reverie to be its own independent brand. So yeah, for now, the approach is still gonna be a very creator, founder, storytelling kind of thing. And as time goes on, I'm gonna be properly putting out like proper marketing and branding for Reverie to stand alone.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think if someone wants to start a clothing brand, do you think how important is it to have like a personal brand along with it?
I think if you were to start a clothing brand, a personal brand is important for sure, but I think it's more of the story and what the clothing brand, what the values the clothing brand align with. Because the values that the clothing brand align with is what I feel will really connect with the consumers. Yeah, and having a personal brand definitely helps because you are attaching a face to the brand, and yeah, and if having that personal brand, and with that personal brand, you're connecting with a lot of people and stuff, then it's going to be a lot more easier for you to grow a brand. Yeah. But I think that personal brand isn't really needed, but you need to be really very strong headed on what your values of the brand are. Yeah. And you can't be, you can't sway away from it, you know? Yeah. Because I've, over the time period of like, trying to start this whole brand and everything, I've got a lot of advice from a lot of people, because every time I say that, oh, okay, I'm trying to start this apparel brand, first thing people will want to do is to offer advice straight. But you can't take every advice that you receive. You really need to, like, as someone who's starting a brand now, I feel like you really need to be very picky with the advice that you receive. Yeah. Who you take advice from is very, very important. You really need to take advice from people who have done things that you have done and everything. And it's not just from anybody and everyone. Yeah.
So what's the best piece of advice you've gotten so far?
Wow. Best piece of advice. I think it's not really advice, but uh this is quote that's all from Instagram. Some kind of a slideshow thing. Your perspective is your power. Yeah. That would be quite strong. That really held up quite strong for me.
And how does that apply to what you're doing?
Cause I think it applies to what I'm doing because uh what I'm putting out there, the brand, has to be a direct reflection of my own values. So understanding that my perspective on what it is very valuable. It has to be loud. And I can't let anybody else deter me from getting I can't let anybody else deter me from getting a proper perspective on the brand, you know. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm phrasing it right.
Yeah, it's your essentially your unique
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
your uniqueness
Yeah.
that actually brings value at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you stand out. So with content and you know building your personal brand and stuff, what do you think like if someone's like, okay, I want to start to make content before I launch this clothing brand
Mm.
or like at least document the journey and stuff. What have you learned about building a personal brand?
You have to be relentless and consistent because yeah, you have to be really consistent when you're doing it because the more you put yourself out there, the more people will start to recognize you, more people will uh have you in their head, and that's very important for growing a brand because if you're just gonna be showing up once in a while here and there, people are gonna forget that brand even exists. So you have to be relentless. You have to really put in the work consistently to really make sure that the brand grows. Because I think that the brand only becomes a brand when it's consistent. Yeah.
Mm. And how much of it, how much are you actually documenting? Like, are you documenting every day or? you kind of like plan what you're gonna do, or is it really just like impromptu? And do you just go about your daily life and then you film, or do you actually have a plan? Or are you kind of trying to fabricate a story? Like,
Mm,
how does that
I
planning
think
process look for you?
for what I document throughout the brand, I feel like I'm quite transparent for the most part of it. I think the only part where I'm not transparent with the documentation is the numbers and the costs. So because I feel like once the numbers and costs get out there and everything, then it starts to get yeah, it's a bit more of a sensitive issue. Like, yeah. So other than the numbers and the costs, I'm transparent about basically everything in the brand. Yeah. And I think I document uh much more of the, I guess, the highlights of like uh what it takes to grow the brand, because I feel that there's a lot of work and a lot of admin work that's just literally me behind the laptop screen and just typing away, and like,
It's like boring.
it's really boring to document. Like, unless people want to watch a time lapse of me doing that, it's really so useless. I don't find a point in posting this kind of stuff. So yeah, typically I would post the highlights, at least it's a bit more interesting and a bit more captivating. But I would also want to find a way to express that, this stuff is kind of boring as well. Yeah. So yeah, I try my best to document and be as transparent about how it takes to grow a brand as much as possible.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Um, Overall, if you had to look at the launch,
Hmm.
how do you think it went out of 10? You had to rate it.
Out of 10, think 9 out of 10. Yeah. And this 9 out of 10 isn't about the monetary value and all. Like, I didn't sell out everything. I wasn't planning to sell out everything also, but it definitely surpassed my expectations. So, and other than that, after launching the brand, once people realized, I just launched the brand and like I'm so-called entrepreneur, uh, the conversations that I have with people are a lot more different now already. You know, people are like there's value to be shared and everything. So the exchange in values in conversations and everything, those are of a different level now. Like I'm talking to different, I'm having different conversations with different groups of people and everything. And yeah, the past week has been really crazy because it's feels like my life just changed fully, and it's only been 1 week. So think it wasn't the 9 out of 10 rating for the launch wasn't about the monetary thing. It was about everything else. It was about how this really is just the beginning. You know, I think it would have been a 10 if everything sold out, because that would be like surpass expectations and stuff. Yeah, but I'm fine. I wasn't aiming for that anyway. And it really just was, yeah, crazy big
Yeah.
since the launch.
And was there, you said when we met up today that, like the shipping and the logistics of like actually getting the product to the consumer has been a bit of a eye-opening experience as well for
Oh
you.
yeah.
And like, do you like do you wish you had done anything differently with it? Like, could you have picked a better courier service, or like, were there any lessons you've learned with the whole shipping and logistics?
Yeah, I'm using Singpost, and I'm just like writing down like addresses and stuff. So yeah, right now I'm actually working on better ways to go and sort this out so that the whole shipping and packaging process can be expedited and be a lot more faster. Because yeah, right now I'm still preparing for the next drop, so I don't really have much inventory to go and sell out and everything. So this gives me good time to go and really uh fine tune the process of the packaging and everything, so that when the next drop comes in, I'm a lot more prepared. So yeah, of what now I'm just sticking with Singpost and doing just basic writing down the mailing addresses and yeah,
So you
that
don't
kind of
have a
stuff.
label maker? Like, do you have
No,
a
not yet.
label printer? Not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. But
Wow. So you're
yeah,
really bootstrapping it.
yeah, really am. Yeah. But I think it's quite interesting also. I feel like this is the approach that I would want to go. I would rather, bootstrap this kind of thing from the start, and then after that slowly, gradually learn. Yeah. It's because uh doing this is kind of interesting for me also, because I learn really, I guess, in a slower way, because I'm not expediting it as fast as, like, I could have done all the shipping label things like before even the launch and prepared it. But I feel like doing this and learning slowly and also documenting it allows a very relatable experience to people who are also trying to start or wanting to start and everything, So yeah, I think the whole idea of like bootstrapping and learning slowly and then scaling accordingly, it's kind of nice as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your like long-term vision and plan for this? Because you said you want to launch this, work on the product, and
Mm.
then find a job. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people getting into entrepreneurship, they're like, I want to get into this to make money,
Mm.
to live this certain lifestyle that I want. I think it's very heavily inspired by all those people preaching online about how great entrepreneurship is. You make lots of money, you have more freedom, and all this jazz. But reality is a lot harder than people think. And I think your approach to it is unique as well, because like you're starting this and then you're going to go find a job.
Yeah.
Normally people like either have a job and they're
Yeah.
like kind of doing like a side hustle until it like makes enough money for them to quit. So why are you what's your vision actually for this?
Uh, my goals for every, I don't think I've not set any monetary goals for every. Yeah, like don't really care that much about it for now, at least. I want to grow the brand as authentically and as organically as possible. And then, I guess once I scale to a certain level, that's when I need to start looking at it as a very businessy kind of thing. But for now, I'm really just looking at it as a brand that, I want the whole, I would want to see the entire country or like the whole Singapore, like, uh everybody who aligns with the brand to really just like wear the apparel, like just have that sense of community when you wear the apparel and all that kind of thing. And yeah, eventually I'll of course want to go a bit more global, go to other countries and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, in terms of where I want this brand to be, I want Reverie to be a pretty big name in the running scene in Singapore.
So that's your goal right now.
Yeah, because other than just clothing and stuff, I eventually want to get into like uh doing run clubs and like I have ideas on like doing like a whole reverie race kind of. That's like a whole other thing, but this, I probably need to scale a little bit more before getting that to that level. But yeah, quite interesting. The whole this more the more people I talk to, the more I realize that there's a lot of opportunities for me to tap into. So yeah, saying that, yeah, winging it but with a sense of direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting too, because I think it sounds like, you've got these big dreams and stuff, but you're not really pressured in a way.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like you actually, because I think being an adult, you start to realize, there's costs to things. If you want to start a family one day, you have to start
Mm.
saving money for a house and like paying for kids' tuition and whatnot. And it can get quite daunting, especially when you just start out a brand and
Mm.
you have to fork out all this money and you know the future is uncertain. Do you feel any pressure at all, or
For right now, my responsibilities in general are quite low. So I can afford to grow the brand without that kind of pressure. And I'm very, very privileged and very thankful that I am in this position right now, be able to grow the brand this way. Because I feel like if I were to have that pressure and have like a approach where I'm doing it for money, and it's going to be very evident in the way I project the brand out, So yeah, that's another reason why I'm also want to find that job, because when I'm a bit more like financially stable, the money isn't that much of a concern. The brand can grow more organically. Yeah, uh I feel like I reach a point with Reverie where I really need to make this my income, and like that mindset, and I adopt that mindset of making Reverie my income and everything. Then the approach is going to be very, very different. And it's not going to be as authentic and as organic, So feel like, yeah, I'm want to go about Reverie, not so pressurized approach. Yeah.
yeah? And do you think if you did have that pressure, you wouldn't be able to be as creative with it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the mental space of the mental space that I have now with this uh workload that I have gives me enough time to go and properly produce good content out there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a cool approach because I think with entrepreneurship, I think people can feel like it is a
Yeah.
money thing for them. How do you think like what's your view on money actually? As a
Of
young person in Singapore, like
course I love money, but yeah, it's beautiful, but I think I can live a pretty okay life with not like a average income, So it's not, yeah. If ever it goes to be my like the thing that brings me rich and everything, sure, I'll love that. It'll be beautiful, but it's not really that important. So that's why I don't really have that kind of monetary goals set in place because yeah, it's not as important as what the brand, the monetary goals and like the glamour of having luxury stuff and everything isn't as important as what I want the brand. So
yeah.
yeah, with that priority I have, I think that yeah, getting a job and working on Reverie on the side be a very good approach for
Mm.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think like if you don't have the pressure to, like if you don't have that money
Mm.
pressure, or at least like not prioritize money, you think that that might have a negative impact on the business side of things? Because at the end of the day, like money is blood to a business. Like
Mm.
without
Yeah.
money, you can't keep doing what you're doing, right? How
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
pay for the next launch? How are you going to invest more time into this and improve the product?
Mm.
So, like, do you think that there maybe is a fear that if you don't make money a priority,
Mm.
Revere Reverie
Reverie. Yeah.
won't be able to scale and become as big as you want it to?
Yeah. I think it's more of, I think if you look at like fear of not, of Reverie not making it, yeah, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as what more Reverie can do instead of like how Reverie can fail. So if I look at it as what more Reverie can do, that's where my direction is heading towards in terms of like growth of the brand instead of like the fear. Because if I use that kind of negative self-talk and on trying to improve myself, I've tested it and it's not really very beneficial for me. Yeah. So I feel like I need to tell myself that, it's not about how scared I am of Reverie failing. It's about, I guess, how scared I am of Reverie not. It needs
Mhm.
to be in the other direction. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a more positive direction. Yeah.
But money is also
Money, yeah,
a key factor
of
to,
course. Yeah.
growing a business. So how do you like what are your plans for scaling? Like is it just right now you're just focusing on the performance
Yeah.
launch?
Yeah. Things just focusing on the performance launch and everything. The approach that I have towards the money side of things, yeah, it's pretty simple. As long as I'm able to uh sustain for the next drop and a bit more, yeah, I'm gonna just keep going on with it. You know,
Mm.
yeah. And this approach, I'm pretty sure it might fail me, definitely. But as time goes on, then after that, I'll just find more problems and then I'll find more solutions. And yeah, I guess that's where the pressure starts to kick in. Yeah. But now it's really just been a week. So it's really very, very fresh. And yeah, I think still very, I would say, like a honeymoon stage of the relationship. The problems are not really that intense yet. They're not that crazy yet. But I'm sure it's gonna get a lot crazier soon. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I feel like that positive attitude is so important
Yeah.
because like you said, if you keep thinking about the negatives, it can weigh you down and
Mm.
probably not be as fun. I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, like you have to find it fun.
Yeah.
You don't find it fun, you're probably not going to keep doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think there's a lot of people who have made it, but they don't really enjoy what they did to make it. Like just example, like maybe if you to make a millions by crypto or something, then I don't know. My eyes, I don't think it's a possible way to be like properly passionate about crypto. So if you're like find a niche where you're actually passionate about and then you make your money and like your net worth of that, yeah, that's where the human kicks in. So right now also, even if I were to like uh get big, or like, yeah, it's not so much. Yeah, it's more on the fulfillment kind of thing. I feel like if I feel fulfilled from what I'm doing, everything, the money would probably be, the exchange of value would be there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're going for it, so that's
Yeah.
that's the important thing. You
Yeah.
just got to keep working hard, and I'm sure. Yeah. At the end of the day, like some people need pressure to do things,
Yeah, definitely.
and sometimes like not thinking about the negative and not putting that pressure on yourself can actually make you perform better. I'm sure you probably find that in sport as well.
Yeah.
I definitely found that in sport. Once I put too much pressure on myself, I actually don't enjoy it. I don't train as hard.
Mm.
I don't um, perform as well. But once I just start to focus on enjoying it, having fun, I actually do way better. It's kind of a
Yeah.
reverse mindset, but that's not for everyone. Some people really need that pressure, you know.
No, but I
Yeah.
completely understand that because there was a point in my life, like, okay, when I was training for the Ironman, I lived so that I could train, you know. But after I had like that burnout with the Ironman and everything, I took like a month of break. Then I went back into ultra training. So when I was training for ultra marathon, basically every run was I just felt so burnt out. Like it was just like I was dreading everything. And I realized it was just because I was trying to base my life off of the sport, which shouldn't be the case. It should be more of you're using the sport to level up your life, you know. Then with that shift in perspective, it really helped me to appreciate the sport a lot more, you know. Yeah. And appreciate life a lot more also because there's more to life than just training and going nonstop, like, exhausting yourself every week, the running and stuff, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you just have to find something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
I think if you look at a lot of successful people, at the end of the day, they're successful because they kept doing it and they kept working hard. And if they didn't enjoy it, they wouldn't have kept doing it.
Yeah.
So in a way, you do have to enjoy it, and that looks different for everybody.
Mm.
But yeah, you're very similar to me in that regard. So yeah, final question because we're actually over an hour already.
Oh,
It went by fast. If you had one message for the world, so if everyone was watching right now, listening to this, what advice would you give them?
Mm.
Or what would you want them to hear? Doesn't have to necessarily be advice, but be just a message that you want to say.
Fortune favors the bold. Yeah, there's like a tattooed on me.
Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, I feel like when I realized that being timid and shy is like the most what's that? No, uh, the best thing that you can do is to be bold about what you do, and yeah, I think that's very, very important. Like, it's very important to be brave and go head first to a lot of things that you want to do. Like letting fear stop you from doing things that you want to do is probably the stupidest excuse ever. Everybody's gonna die eventually, and like for the longest time in my life, I let fear stop me from doing things that I wanted to do. So when I hit that point where I realized, like, fear was really just the only thing that was stopping me, that changed my life quite a lot. So yeah, then that's when I got the tattoo done on me, and just says fortune favors the bold.
And what does fortune look like for you?
Fortune, not just monetary sense, is just in terms of like fulfillment in life in general. Yeah. So I felt.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I think this is gonna be interesting. You're only 1 week into this.
Yeah.
And you've already got like so much that we unpacked here today, which is really interesting. But I think it'd be cool to like, for you to come back in like a year's time.
Yeah.
Reflect. And I think it's gonna be super different.
So definitely.
But yeah, that's why I wanted to interview you today as well, as like this isn't just about people who have made it. This is about people who are actually, in the trenches trying to do something that they've set their mind to. So yeah, it was a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll see you in a year.
Yeah,
Back
it's
on
going
the
to be
show.
a super different conversation then.
Exactly, man. All right,
Really
sweet.
interesting. Yeah,
That was it.
nice.
Awesome.